Good morning, good afternoon. If you're just joining, welcome. Happy to have you here, and we're going to give it one more minute and then get started with today's webinar. Hi, Dan, great to have you here. Question, will today's slides be shared afterwards? Yes, Lindsay will send out a post-session recording. All right, well, listen, great to have you with us today for our webinar, Onshoring Package Supply Chains Without Tariff Impact. PAC Global. We are a nonprofit packaging industry association, and I'm Andrew McDonald. Sorry, Lindsay, if you can go to the next slide. Thanks so much. Director of our PAC Next program, which is our program of packaging sustainability. We're delighted to present this webinar to you today. We're sure you're going to have lots of questions. If you could, please use the Q&A box. There is also a chat, but you just make my life a little bit easier if you can put them in the Q&A. I'd appreciate it. We have two wonderful presenters for you today. First, Christine Lau, with over 35 years of purchasing experience across a variety of industries. Christine serves as the Director of Strategic Purchasing at Nature Fresh Farms. Her career has been defined by a deep commitment to understanding the full scope of business operations. This approach has shaped her belief in the key role purchasing plays in a company's success. Tina is a passionate advocate for sustainable solutions and committed to sourcing locally wherever possible. James Davidson is responsible for the development and execution of Genera's commercial strategy, creating value for customers by helping them move toward sustainable products while furthering their progress toward net zero commitments. James has spent the last 20 plus years in progressive packaging industry leadership roles, driving growth, working across functions, including sales, marketing, operations, and product development. So Christine, James, welcome. Great to have you here. And first, I'll turn it over to James to get things started.
Thank you, Andrew. And good morning, everyone. Welcome. We're very excited to have you here. This session, it will be unique in the sense that we've got a brand owner, we've got a packaging producer that's fully integrated, and we're really excited to share with you what has been our journey for nearly 10 years. Genera, Pulp Molded Products, a Canadian company, and Nature Fresh Farms have been working together, bringing packaging onshore with a uniquely sustainable, economic, and responsive supply chain. And we're very excited to share some of our journey with you. We hope that our story will inspire you, offer a potential roadmap for developing more sustainable packaging that's produced and consumed in the North American market with a viable cost structure, which is always a challenge for sustainability, is to have something that's truly viable. Things you'll get out of today, a brand owner perspective on achieving both enhanced sustainability and better overall competitive and highly responsive supply chain. An example of innovation in non-plastic fiber-based packaging, and insight into a new and growing North American supply base. So we're really excited to share with you, Christine and I, some of our journey, what it's meant from a sustainability perspective, from a supply chain perspective, and how we've been able to onshore the supply chain and create a non-tariff situation. We've got a short video about Genera that I think really helps kind of introduce what we do. And if we could go to that video, Lindsay.
Genera is proud to be made in the USA and support American farmers. Genera's primary crops are giant miscanthus and switchgrass.
These perennial grasses really embody the ethos of our company. They are regenerative in nature, and they're good for 20 plus years if maintained properly. As a farmer, I love what it does for the soil and what it does for the grounds we go to. And by planting this crop one time, not only does it meet our demands, but we're leaving soil better than when we found it. It's just a full circle of benefit to all parties involved.
We've invested heavily here in Von Orr in our manufacturing capacity, and having that investment is really key to being able to scale the business. Genera's pulping process is really one of the keys to our whole sustainability story. The fact that we have a very simple process for making pulp is one of the ways that we can generate products that are so sustainable all the way from the farm to the finished product.
We're really excited about the extraordinary nature of what this plant represents. This is the first of its kind at this sort of scale. We'll make 2.5 billion pieces a year, every year. Really, molded fiber can be produced and used in many applications that you might typically think of in plastic now. We've engineered our products in many ways to meet the needs of that particular application.
Thank you, Lindsay. So that's just a short kind of vision of where we're at with Genera. Since 2008, Kelly Tiller, who you saw in the video, started the business and spun it out of the University of Tennessee. And the business has been working on bio-based materials since that time. In 2018, we started focusing the business on molded fiber and other bio-based materials, and entered the molded fiber space in 2019. In 2022, we were acquired by our partners. They're a $6 billion private equity firm, completely focused on sustainability. And that kicked off an investment of over $300 million in our facility. That was all invested in our manufacturing footprint, and what created the ability to produce at a really significant scale. Fully integrated all the way back to the farm. So we plant these perennial grasses. After a year, they're able to be harvested. Every late fall, after there's been a frost, we harvest these grasses, we bale them, and then we bring them to our facility where we can convert them into a pulp that is then formed into molded fiber. So it's a really unique source of raw materials. It's a highly sustainable source of raw materials. The grasses capture up to 2 tons of carbon per acre per year. We plant on underutilized land, so this is land that's not productive for food crop. And we provide an income to rural families and landowners in places where there wasn't an income before. These grasses improve the soil quality. They improve groundwater quality. Because we don't need to irrigate them and use really minimal fertilizer to get them established. The grasses play a great role of rejuvenating soil, and that's where our tagline of regenerating the earth comes from, is the fact that these grasses are actually improving soil where you may have had over-tilling or other conditions that have made the soil less attractive. Our business is focused on food, produce, protein, and ready-to-eat meals, retail and consumer products, food service, and specialty segments. We've been innovating in the produce space with unique products that are designed to meet the needs of various types of consumers, and we're completely vertically integrated from end to end. So we're really excited to have Christine here to share a brand owner perspective on launching a product that is US made using our grass fibers. So maybe I can hand it over to you, Christine.
Thanks, James. Thanks, Andrew and James, for inviting me to this conversation here about sustainable packaging and what good things are happening in North America. And I'm representing Nature Fresh Farms. We are based, our headquarters based in Leamington, Canada. We have facilities in Ohio, United States, and Leamington here. We're working North American-wide with growers who grow for us in addition to our own greenhouses. Sustainability is a big part of Nature Fresh Farms, and we pride ourselves in being a market leader. And so making the connection with Genera on sustainable packaging was a good fit for the both of us. Lindsay, if you want to introduce Nature Fresh Farms.
At Nature Fresh Farms, we are passionate about growing for a kinder future. Based in Leamington, Ontario, with facilities across North America, we're not just growers, we're innovators. We build our own greenhouses, meticulously grow our produce to deliver you the freshest, most flavorful, and highest quality products. We're passionately dedicated to pushing the boundaries of greenhouse technology and advocating for sustainable farming practices. Because for us, good food isn't just about taste. It's about creating a meaningful, positive impact on our world. Nature Fresh Farms is a pioneer in greenhouse-grown produce, committed to nourishing people and the planet through innovation and sustainability.
All right, so that's Nature Fresh Farms. We've been founded in 1999, so we are around for around 26 years. Our founder, Peter Queering, created this business after he was building greenhouses in the area. He started building for his own greenhouse, and that's how Nature Fresh started. Successful story. We are still family owned here. Sustainability is a big part of Nature Fresh Farms' life. We control computer control or technology control our greenhouses in sunlight, strength of sunlight, temperatures, humidity. We all do this in a very sustainable way to produce the best and healthiest produce which you can buy. Back to you, Andrew.
Christine, thank you. Yeah, great introduction for our audience, both of you. And if you recall, either in maybe you saw the promo for this webinar or the first slide of today, nice shot of the mini cucumbers in the tray. And so we'd like to share a little bit more with you, our audience, as to how that particular project came to life. Because a lot of work went into just getting, this particular initiative to market. But James, if I could start with you, and if you could just elaborate a little bit on the details of how this particular initiative came to be, and then of course, Christine, we'd like your perspective on that as well. But James, starting with you.
So we had begun this big expansion, installing 65 really large thermoforming lines. And we were in the early stages of rolling that out. We had done an initial expansion. We had some machines in place. I think, Christine, we may have had 10 machines at that time. So we had an opportunity to enter a space where we had a product that is uniquely suited for being partnered with other agricultural products. At the end of the day, our packaging is really an agricultural product. So produce and proteins and this type of thing are really well suited especially when you consider the organic waste that comes from preparing a lot of foods, to be able to have a tray that's compostable and that can be used in concert with, a product that is being grown in a very sustainable way, kind of teed things up for a great scenario. Christine, we were introduced by Pulp Molded Products, and I think at that time you had some interests around onshoring and some other needs as a brand owner. Maybe, what was your perspective on, that initial kind of view of what you wanted to find?
Yeah, sustainability becomes a big part of everybody's life right now. It always has been, but everybody has a different view on what sustainability means. For Nature Fresh Farms in the supply chain here, we're looking at sustainable packaging in the way of where is it coming from. We evaluate overseas versus domestic supply. We're looking at what materials are being used. Are those materials recyclable, compostable, home compostable? How many miles does it need to travel to reach our different facilities? There are many aspects we are looking at. And at the time, we had the need for fiber tray, which Genera came with a renewable fibers being used. And when you look at the typical renewable fibers, most of it is wood products, which softwood lumber needs to grow 6 to 8, 10 years, and hearing about Genera's initiative and needing one cycle to harvest their fibers and then produce packaging from it was really inspiring. So from a perspective, overseas versus domestic, and when we heard about Genera or got introduced by Pulp Molded to Genera, I think Genera was the first company in North America doing this kind of business.
Got it. And just to help the audience understand the life cycle of this project, when you remind us, James, when did you start conversations with Nature Fresh, and then how long was it to get mini cukes to market on a Genera tray?
It was a little bit over 2 years ago when we first started having some conversations and really understanding what Christine's needs were at Nature Fresh Farms. This was our first foray into a produce application. So, for us, it was a great opportunity to work together. We needed to go from an initial design to a prototype that could be tested on the lines. For Christine, she's got multiple locations where these lines are being run. So it was really important that the product would work consistently every day across all the facilities. So we did some prototypes. We learned some things from the prototypes that we did. So they weren't exactly perfect. They worked well, but not quite well enough. So then we did another round of prototypes. These went into shelf life testing and other, evaluation for distribution and strength and that type of thing. And in the case of produce and with protein, there is an inherent challenge where, fiber tends to not like moisture, right? So we needed to have something that would perform from a shelf life perspective, despite being wrapped and having, a fairly high humidity environment inside the package. So once we'd been through all of the prototyping stage, then we were able to go buy a production tool. And the machines you saw in our video in one production tool will produce tens of millions of pieces per year. So, working with Christine, we are in the tens of millions of pieces produced so far and used across the North American market and across Nature Fresh locations. So we went through an audit process with Christine and her team to validate the facility and to go through all the usual quality checks and that type of thing to make sure that we were a good partner for Nature Fresh Farms. And then finally, after there's some lead time on the tooling. So once we actually had the tooling, then we were able to go to market. And things have run pretty smoothly since, I would say. Christine, I don't know if you had any other comments.
Yeah, it was an interesting time when we developed this whole process with Genera. James had a lot of trips here to us, Nature Fresh Farms, visited various sites. So in Canada, we have around 160 acres we own, but we also work with contracted growers. We were trying this tray out not just on our own production lines. We went to a contracted grower who has a semi-automated line and tried the tray there to see if it works in a semi-automated environment. We use this tray here in Canada. We use it in the US. We have it in Mexico. This gives you a little bit of a scale how many we use in a growing season. It was a very interesting process, and it ended up finally when we decided this is the tray we will use as a fiber tray for Nature Fresh Farms. And I think we kicked off the tool in May or June that one year, and I believe I visited Genera in Vonore in November to see the production line running, which was very impressive. And I believe we received the first shipments right after that first run and started using the tray.
And Christine, any consumer feedback you can share? Have you heard from your customers what they think of this solution?
We have a lot of customers who are using or getting our mini cubes on this tray. Is there always room for improvement? Yes, there is. And James and his team are working on even better this tray currently. Yeah, there's always room to improve something, to work on the next stage, you know. But it already performed better than other fiber trays on the market. So we already, with that, a tray from Genera, we already went a notch up to what else was on the market. Okay. Besides, of course, plastic and or foam or other trays from other materials.
Yeah, I got you. Thank you. Yeah, that's an important comment. James, if I could toggle back to you with regards to just broader market trends around, you know, a shift in some segments to fiber-based packaging. Could you comment on broad market trends? What are you seeing? You're in the business. What can you share with our audience about those about the trends these days?
So it's really interesting. I mean, molded fiber as a category is growing quite significantly, and it's projected to continue to grow for the next several years at a very significant rate, just the underlying growth of the category. What we're finding is that consumers are being bombarded with information about plastics, microplastics, nanoplastics. It feels like every week there's something else that, you know, raises some concern. And when we're talking about foods that consumers want to perceive and want to trust that they are natural, you know, without any things that might be bad for them, they really resonate with the brand, with the story. We've done numerous focus groups in our retail segment, and we found that consumers really love this idea of this packaging, or these, in some cases in the retail space, it's, you know, plates and bowls and that type of thing, that they're coming from a renewable source, a source that's not packed with, you know, nasty chemicals or anything like that. And the reaction's been really, really strong. What we're seeing is that there's an expansion of interest. A lot of interest in higher performance applications that can perform equal to plastic, or if not equal, at least, you know, in line with consumer expectations. and that's driving a whole new set of innovation at Genera. So Christine mentioned we're working on a new generation for the produce space, a Gen 2 version. We've got several other new products being launched across each of our categories, and really building momentum in understanding, what things can we do? How can we innovate and add new functionality to these products to make them suitable for all kinds of applications?
And I mean, for our customers, it's very important when we have fiber-based packaging that it is compostable, that it is for some home compostable, that you can even throw it in the recycling bin, and that is qualities the Genera Cube Tray actually has. It is home compostable certified. It is recyclable. It has renewable fibers in it. It's actually a great story to have here, specifically when you see that the farmers, by growing this grass, are giving back to the soil, that they actually improving something which wasn't there before. Before it was nutrients were taken out. Now we're growing something we can use and make into something and giving back. I think that's a great story, and it fits Nature Fresh Farms in growing for a kinder future.
That latter point, Christine, is certainly something that caught the attention of the PAC Next team, along with a range of other aspects of the story, but in particular that regenerative aspect so important. So, audience, to our wonderful, lovely audience today, we've got a little fun activity here. We're going to do a quick quiz. So, Lindsay, if you could call up, we got 2 short quizzes for you. We're going to start on Nature Fresh. Just 30 seconds. Go for it. Information, this is based on some information that has come up so far in the presentation. So just have fun with it and go for it. And again, we'll leave it up here for about 30 seconds for both questions. Nice. I see the responses rolling in here. We'll give it another 15 seconds. The pressure's on. Is it 90 acres, 160 acres, 250 acres? Coconut, rock wool. All right, countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, good. Thanks all for jumping in on that. And Christine, what are you seeing here? What if?
So first one, yes, in Canada, Nature Fresh Farms proudly owns 160 acres right now. That is the correct answer to it. North American wide, we own 250 acres. We are 26 years around, founded in 1999, and we use cocoa chips for substrate as growing. So question number 2 is we're using cocoa chips. And we do this for better water management. They have a better not pooling the water. They have better aeration. So it's a healthier growing for our plants growing in coconut chips.
Yeah, got it. Thank you. That was interesting for me for sure to learn about that. Lindsay. Round 2, Genera. Okay, audience, team, one more try here, or one more quiz. Couple of questions for you. Good stuff. See the answers rolling in. We'll give it 10 more seconds. Don't be shy. Is it miscanthus, switchgrass, hemp, or wood? All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, James, to you. What do you see?
Fantastic. Well, we use two different fibers that we grow. One is miscanthus. It's a very tall grass. Think of something 12 feet tall, with a root system that goes just as deep into the ground. That's a big part of why we don't need to irrigate. The two together are what creates a unique fiber blend. We also use a portion of FDA compliant, food contact compliant, recycled fiber as well in the blend. And what we get is a really great mixture that we can use for all different applications, for produce, for food service, things that need to have a hinge. If you think about clamshells and that type of thing. So it's a great source of fiber. We have thousands of acres in the Tennessee area where we offer a turnkey solution to landowners. And in some cases, we've got farmers that want to farm it themselves, so then they can actually grow the switchgrass and harvest it, and we'll pay them for that. In both cases, it's multi-year commitments. So many times it's a solution for multi-generational farms that don't have anyone to take on the farm. They want to keep the farm in the family, and this is a great solution for that as well. For the second question, it's over 2 billion pieces, as much as 2.5 billion pieces in our facility as it is completed today. So today we've got 65 thermoformers all running, producing. And the reason that we needed to have that scale is because it needed to be economical. A lot of pure play sustainability offerings are very, very expensive, and the brand owners can't afford them, even if they'd really like to use them. So we went big in terms of manufacturing capability and footprint to be able to serve major brands in their needs, but also to be able to produce in a highly efficient way, completely robotic operation. So all of that combines to give something that Christine and Nature Fresh can afford and adopt without having to dramatically raise their prices in the market.
Yeah, really interesting. Well, from both of you and James on just when you mentioned the farmers, to me it was great in the video to just have farmers speaking directly to the audience in the video. To hear directly from them, hear their voice. Okay, quiz time is done, and at this point, I just want to please invite our audience to avail yourself of the Q&A. We have several questions coming in, so now's our time to take those up, but don't be shy. Direct your questions again to the Q&A if possible, rather than the chat. So James, Christina, a couple of questions here happen to be from PAC Next Leadership Council members. Great to see that. And so James, I'll direct this one to you first. Potentially Christine will have a comment on it as well. It's about cost. So to the extent you can, the question is about the cost difference between this solution and sort of previous or whatever conventional solutions. Any comment you can provide there to help the audience understand what they might be getting into when it comes to the money piece? And James, I'll start with you.
So it depends on the application. In many cases, if we're talking about something that was previously an offshore supply chain, there are a bunch of pieces that go away in the cost structure. So you've got this extended lead time period where many times you're paying for something when it leaves port on its way to you. In our case, you don't need any of that inventory in the system. So Christine and her team and others that work with us are able to reduce the amount of inventory that's carried in the system and move more toward a just-in-time type of scenario for supply. That takes a lot of risk out of the supply chain too, because sometimes your customers may change course, or maybe they suddenly change their selection on who's going to supply them. So not having all this inventory exposure has a real cost savings to it. There's these days with interest rates being high, there's a real cost of money. And not having inventory that might be orphaned or otherwise challenged, we're usually able to bridge even a cost difference of 10%. We can see real hard cost out opportunities by going to a North American supply chain. Other than that, it really depends on the product line. We've tried to be really realistic about what each segment can bear and keep our design parameters within those limitations. It's not always cost neutral, right? Sometimes it does cost more, but I think the trick is to get it to a level where it really makes sense for the retailer and for the brand owner, and it's possible without having a shock to the overall cost structure.
And I mean, what you need to consider too is when overseas versus domestic is lately in the last couple of years, we had port strikes, we had rail strikes, we had weather events. This all plays a role to how we look at where we source, what we source. If the company supplier we're working with, how much technology do they have involved? How much automation is there to take cost out, right? To take some labor out. And we found with Genera and pulp molded a spot which was acceptable cost-wise. And when we present this to our customers, there are customers where sustainability plays a big role for. They want to bring sustainable packaging to the end customer to give them the feeling throwing the packaging out doesn't create any other problems, as many other materials do, which are used for packaging.
Yeah, fair point. Fair points. So thanks both. And I hope that helps answer that question. Another question, this one will go to James. Any plans for Genera to produce an LCA, so a life cycle assessment, to more fully capture the full life cycle benefits of the Genera packaging innovation?
So the short answer is yes. Now that we have the facility fully operational and at its full scale, we've got an opportunity to do an end-to-end life cycle analysis that considers all the steps of our process. So that's something that we're working on. Kelly Tiller, our founder, is in a chief strategy and sustainability role. So she's been leading that initiative. There are opportunities for us to take further steps forward around renewable energy and that type of thing. So those are the things that we're trying to get in place so that we can, fully understand now that we're at full scale exactly what that looks like.
Great, thanks, James. I've got one for Christine. A question from our audience. What did Nature Fresh use prior to the Genera product? And then, maybe this goes to both of you. Two-part questions are tough. But so first, what did Nature Fresh use prior to the Genera product? And then related to tariffs, could this product be made outside of North America? But yeah, anyway, maybe that's self-evident. But James, I'll let you handle that one. So first, Christine, what did you use prior?
So prior we had two different designs, pulp trays used, different materials than the renewable fiber from Genera. Currently still in the market is plastic PET trays. They are fully recyclable. And another thing are foam packaging products, foam trays, which currently are not recyclable. And if thrown out, it takes a massive amount of years to decompose and or leave some of those toxins behind, microplastics, all the chemicals everybody is talking about.
Yeah, got you. And maybe I'm going to toggle back to the tariff piece in a moment, but just I think there's another question that relates to what you're just describing, Christine, in terms of the potential material health kind of questions around packaging. And that's a question from the audience about certification for compostability. So what certification does the packaging have? For example, is it BPI or there's the Compost Manufacturers Alliance?
We're focused on BPI.
BPI, yeah. Okay.
And maybe, sorry, Andrew.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just going to say to speak to the tariff question.
Yes.
If you think about produce, very much a North American business with operations in Canada, US, and Mexico. Today, we're able to trade and provide product to all those locations without facing any tariffs. So even in this new environment that's been really challenging, we're still able to operate without introducing any tariffs. The tariff structure with the US is complicated now and highly unpredictable. So, if we've got product that's being used in the US or, giving Christine the flexibility to produce where she'd like to produce, all of that can be avoided. And that means that there's a known cost, regardless of where the product's going to be packed.
Yeah, great. A good point. Thank you. And that's helpful because a couple of questions were geared toward, linking the story today with the broader current tariff situation. So I hope that's helpful. Just to kind of round things out here today, I'd like to ask both of you just for a short kind of almost gut feel response to, if you had to choose one area of a package life cycle to focus in on to improve the sustainability of that package, where would you first set your sights? Like what part of that life cycle would you set your sights on? From sourcing to recyclability or compostability or anywhere in between. What would that be? And James, I'll start with you.
So, despite all the interest around sustainability, the reality is very little actually gets recycled and very little actually gets composted, right? I mean, if you look at the statistics, US, even Canada, there are major shifts needed in order to really have a strong end of life for the product. And part of the issue is the markets that are going to use that recycled or composted material. So is there a market to kind of pull through those alternate materials? So, if I was thinking about where to start, I would focus on what's going to go into the product in the first place. What are going to be the sources of materials that are going to be converted and then make the package? Because if we don't create really good markets and if we don't innovate around where the raw material comes from and how sustainable that is, then we're going to face a challenge of a lot of good intention in terms of recycling and composting and whatnot, but not enough market viability to really pull it through and complete the cycle. So, we're obviously biased because we grow these grasses to make packaging. But if we think about, in other applications as well, getting more post-consumer content, getting more recycled content, getting more renewable sources of content, that's going to help really drive the whole cycle forward. And I think that that's an area that doesn't get quite as much attention as maybe it should if we really want to make this truly circular economy happen.
Well said.
Very good point, James. I think there's a lot of work to be done on the recycling side to who is recycling, where are we recycling, what are we recycling, do we have a market for this recycled product? A lot of things is happening lately. You hear more and more about recycling facilities opening up. Our customers are asking for how much post-consumer recycling or post-consumer recycled material is in the packaging. So it picks up traction right now. And looking in the last couple of years, there is a lot of things happening. Is it enough yet? That's to be figured out, and there's still a lot of room for improvement. For Canada here, I know we have started a good recycling program. Is there room for improvement too? 100%. That made it so interesting that the Genera tray, it is compostable. It will degrade in soil. It won't leave toxins behind. And it can be recycled. It can be thrown in the recycle stream and be recycled with other corrugated and paper materials.
Yes. Yeah. All good points. Thank you both. Well, Lindsay, if we could bring up the final slide. Listen, at PAC Global and certainly through our PAC Next program of sustainability, we aim to bring you, our community, kind of the best stories, like the stories that we think are really, really important. And so we're delighted to have collaborated today with Genera and with Nature Fresh Farms to bring you this story. So thank you for joining. Thank you for your questions. And I'm going to turn it over to James and Christine just for some final remarks, and then we're delighted to give you a few minutes back to you in your day. So James.
Well, thank you, Andrew, and thank you to PAC Global. We're really excited to be able to share our journey today. You can see a QR code on the screen. That is an extended kind of a mini documentary about Genera. So if you're interested to know what we're doing and hear a little bit more detail around our story, you can scan that QR code. It'll take you to a YouTube video that's a little bit more extended than the one that we saw earlier, but still less than 10 minutes. You can see our website there. Please do reach out to us if you've got any interest in pursuing any projects. Wanted to thank Christine for being such a great partner with us and being part of this session today. It was really exciting to have a full end-to-end representation of the value chain. Thank you so much, Andrew.
Yes, thanks everyone for joining the webinar. Thanks Andrew and James for inviting Nature Fresh Farms and myself to this little conversation we had here about sustainable packaging. We're always excited to look at new technologies, new developments, and trying to be a market leader here. Thank you very much. And everybody who has questions, please visit our website. We have a whole team who will go back to you.
Perfect. Listen, to our audience, enjoy the rest of your day. Keep an eye out for future webinars. We'll have lots of good ones coming to you this fall. So thanks again and see you soon.